Right now, as you're watching this, your body is killing billions of its own cells. Not tomorrow, not over the course of a week, today. And it'll do the same thing again tomorrow because the moment it stops, you die. Your body is essentially a controlled massacre dressed up as a functioning organism. So let's get into all of it, starting with the one that sounds the most like a conspiracy against yourself, apoptosis. Every single day, your body executes somewhere between 50 and 70 billion cells in a process called apoptosis. Tens of billions of tiny coordinated deaths happening inside you right now, quietly cleared out through what is essentially molecular suicide. And you never feel a thing. Here's how it works. Specialized enzymes called caspases act as the executioners. They shred the cell's DNA, dissolve its structural protein, and package everything into neat little membrane-bound bundles. Then, cleanup crews, your immune cells, roll in and eat the remains. The whole operation is so clean it doesn't even trigger inflammation. It's like a crime scene where somebody vacuumed up all the evidence before anyone showed up. But here's where it gets dark. If this system fails, if even a small number of cells ignore the die now signal, they just keep dividing, unchecked. That's literally one of the defining hallmarks of cancer. Cells that refuse to kill themselves become cells that kill you instead, which is, not ideal. And it goes deeper. Your thymus gland eliminates roughly 95% of developing T cells through apoptosis because those cells would otherwise attack your own body. Your immune system runs a near total purge on itself just to make sure it doesn't accidentally destroy you from the inside. So, yeah, the thing keeping you alive is a daily massacre of billions of cells. And the only reason you're not riddled with cancer right now is because your body is really, really good at killing itself. But if apoptosis is the execution, the next process is the cleanup crew that eats the bodies. Phagocytosis. Your immune cells are eating things alive right now, not metaphorically. Right now, millions of cells inside your body are extending little arms called pseudopodia, wrapping them around bacteria, sealing those bacteria inside a membrane pouch, and then flooding that pouch with digestive enzymes and homemade bleach, actual hypochlorous acid, the same stuff you clean your bathroom with. Your cells manufacture it on demand and use it to dissolve living organisms from the inside out. And this isn't some rare emergency response. This is Tuesday. Your body runs billions of these engulfment events every single day. A single macrophage can consume around 100 bacteria before it burns itself out, and you've got billions of them on patrol at all times. Here's where it gets genuinely horrifying. The pH inside that digestion pouch drops to about 4.5, acidic enough to denature most proteins on contact. Meanwhile, reactive oxygen species are burning the pathogen apart at the molecular level. The cell is so dangerous to itself that it runs specialized antioxidant enzymes just to avoid being destroyed by its own weapons, which is, not ideal. This whole system is ancient. Your immune cells hunt using a feeding mechanism inherited directly from amoebas. Single-celled predators figured this out a billion years ago, and evolution just kept it. People born without the ability to generate those bleach-like molecules suffer severe infections starting in infancy. Complete loss of phagocytosis would likely kill you within 48 hours. But if you think your cells dissolving bacteria alive is intense, wait until you hear what your stomach does to everything you eat. Gastric acid. Your stomach is currently producing hydrochloric acid, the same chemical used industrially to clean steel and dissolve limestone. Right now, sitting inside you is a vat of liquid corrosive, enough to burn through skin, dissolve calcium, and kill virtually anything alive that touches it. Your body makes about 1.5 liters of this stuff every single day. The pH gets as low as 1.5. For reference, that's strong enough to eat through metal. So what's stopping it from eating through you? A mucus layer, about 0.1 millimeters thick. That's it. That's the entire barrier between your stomach acid and your stomach dissolving itself. Underneath that mucus, epithelial cells are frantically pumping out bicarbonate to neutralize any acid that leaks through, like a guy patching holes in a dam with his bare hands while the water keeps rising. But here's where it gets genuinely scary. Without that acid, you're done. You can't activate pepsin, so protein digestion just stops. You lose intrinsic factor, which means no B12 absorption, which means pernicious anemia, and eventually irreversible neurological damage. And every meal becomes bacterial roulette, because that acid is the only thing sterilizing the thousands of microorganisms hitching a ride on your food. Your stomach is basically a chemical weapons facility that's a fraction of a millimeter of mucus away from catastrophic meltdown, which is, not ideal. But at least stomach acid stays where it belongs. The next substance on this list travels through your entire body, and it's literally made from your own dead blood cells. Bilirubin. The yellow in a fading bruise and the brown in your toilet bowl are the same thing. Same pigment, same origin, same disgusting process. Your body destroys roughly 2 million red blood cells every single second, and the toxic waste left behind from all that carnage is a compound called bilirubin. Here's how it works. When a red blood cell hits its 120-day expiration date, your spleen rips it apart and strips out the heme. That heme gets converted into biliverdin, which is green, and then into bilirubin, which is yellow. This is literally why bruises change color as they heal. You're watching your body process its own dead blood cells in real time, like a little recycling facility right under your skin. But bilirubin has a problem. In its raw form, it's fat soluble, meaning it can cross the blood-brain barrier. So your liver has to grab it, chemically modify it through a process called conjugation, and make it water soluble so it can be dumped into bile and eventually excreted. That modified bilirubin is what gives your feces their characteristic brown color. You're welcome. Over a 70-year lifespan, your body produces somewhere between 11 and 15 pounds of this stuff. That's roughly the weight of a bowling ball, made entirely of processed cellular corpses. And if this system fails, the consequences are devastating. In Crigler-Najjar syndrome type 1, the conjugation enzyme is completely absent. Bilirubin builds up, crosses into the brain, and causes permanent damage, including cerebral palsy and deafness. Without treatment, it's fatal within the first year of life, which is, not ideal. But if you think dead blood cell recycling is disturbing, wait until you hear what the 38 trillion bacteria living in your gut are doing right now. Gut microbiome. Right now, sitting inside your large intestine, there are roughly 37.2 trillion bacteria. That's approximately equal to the total number of human cells in your entire body. Collectively, they weigh about 1 to 2 kilograms, roughly the same weight as your brain. So you're walking around with a brain's worth of bacteria in your gut, which is, not ideal to think about. But here's the thing. These bacteria aren't freeloading. Your gut bacteria ferment dietary fiber that your own enzymes are completely useless against, producing about 10% of your daily energy. They synthesize vitamin K for blood clotting and vitamin B12 for your nervous system. They even produce antimicrobial compounds that prevent dangerous bacteria from setting up shop. They're basically running security, catering, and the pharmacy all at once. One of the most important things they produce is butyrate, a short-chain fatty acid that fuels the cells lining your colon. Without it, your intestinal barrier breaks down. Bacterial toxins leak into your bloodstream, and chronic inflammation kicks in. Your gut bacteria are literally holding the wall together. And here's where it gets complicated. Broad-spectrum antibiotics can absolutely nuke this entire system, wipe out enough good bacteria, and suddenly Clostridium difficile blooms out of control and causes severe, potentially life-threatening infection. Beyond that, severe dysbiosis has been linked to obesity, type 2 diabetes, inflammatory bowel disease, and even mental health conditions through the gut-brain axis. Your gut bacteria are talking to your brain, and if you kill them off, the conversation gets real dark, real fast. But at least your gut bacteria are working hard for you on the inside. Your skin's bacteria, on the other hand, are swimming in something far greasier. Sebum. Here's a fun question. What's the one substance on your body that you've spent years, possibly decades, and hundreds of dollars trying to get rid of? The oily shine on your face, the clogged pores, the acne, that greasy film you blot off your nose every few hours like you're maintaining a deep fryer. That substance is sebum, and without it, your skin would crack, dry out, and start falling apart within hours, which is, not ideal. Your skin pumps out roughly 1 to 2 grams of oil every single day. That sounds like nothing, but it's not spread evenly. Your nose alone packs 400 to 900 sebaceous glands per square centimeter, which explains why it always looks like you could fry an egg on it by 2 p.m. Your body chose function over vanity, and it didn't even hesitate. But sebum isn't just oil, it's a precisely tuned cocktail of squalene, wax esters, triglycerides, free fatty acids, and cholesterol, all blended together to waterproof your skin, keep it flexible, and kill things trying to get in. The free fatty acids from bacteria breaking down sebum create an acidic surface on your skin, sitting at a pH between 4.0 and 6.0, which is actively hostile to pathogens. Meanwhile, the vitamin E packed into sebum works as an antioxidant shield against UV damage, so the exact substance responsible for every breakout you've ever cursed in the mirror is the same one keeping your skin hydrated, defended, and functional. Your body looked at the options and said, acne or death. Pick one. But if you think oil production is gross, wait until you hear about what happens when your body decides to turn on the sprinklers. Sweat. Your body has 2 to 4 million sweat glands, and every single one of them is the only reason you're not dead right now. Here's the thing about sweat that nobody appreciates. It is the only cooling mechanism your body has that still works when the air around you is hotter than your skin. Radiation won't help. Convection won't help. The only thing standing between you and your organs cooking themselves is water evaporating off your surface. And it's terrifyingly efficient. Each gram of sweat that evaporates pulls 2.4 kilojoules of heat away from your body. During intense exertion, your glands can crank out 3 to 4 liters per hour. That's not a typo. Your body can fill a sizable jug every 60 minutes just to keep you from overheating. Now here's the part that should genuinely scare you. On an 86-degree day, moderate exercise without the ability to sweat would kill you in 15 to 45 minutes. Not injure you, kill you. Your proteins start to denature, which is a fancy way of saying they cook. Your blood-brain barrier fails. Multiple organs shut down. You're done. But sweat isn't just a coolant. It's about 99% water. But that remaining fraction contains antimicrobial peptides actively kill bacteria on your skin. Your sweat is literally fighting infections while it cools you down, which is, a nice bonus feature. And here's where it gets epic. This disgusting, smelly system might be the single adaptation that made humans the apex predators of the ancient world. Our ancestors chased prey animals across open plains for hours because those animals would overheat and collapse, while humans just kept sweating and running. We literally ran things to death because we were grosser than them. But if you think sweat is underappreciated, wait until you hear about the waxy substance protecting one of your most delicate organs, earwax. If you own cotton swabs, this one's going to hurt because every time you shove one of those things into your ear canal, you're actively disabling one of the most sophisticated security systems your body runs. And I can prove it. Your ear canals produce about 12 to 20 milligrams of earwax every month, which sounds like nothing until you realize what that tiny amount actually does. It's not just wax sitting there, being gross. It's a lipid-rich cocktail of wax esters, fatty acids, squalene, and cholesterol that forms a waterproof antimicrobial barrier protecting the most delicate part of your hearing system. It contains lysozyme, an enzyme that literally dissolves bacterial cell walls on contact. It contains lactoferrin, which starves bacteria by binding the iron they need to survive. And it maintains an acidic pH that's actively hostile to pathogens. Your earwax is basically a bouncer, a moat, and a chemical weapon, all rolled into one yellowish glob. But here's the part that genuinely blew my mind. Your ear canal cleans itself. Dead skin cells push the earwax outward at a steady rate, automatically carrying trapped debris and microorganisms out without you doing a single thing. It's a self-cleaning conveyor belt. It's been handling this since before you were born. So when you grab a cotton swab and dig around in there, you're not cleaning your ears. You're stripping the protective barrier, shoving wax deeper toward your eardrum, and increasing your infection risk. You're causing the exact ear problems you thought you were preventing, which is, not ideal. But if you think earwax is pulling its weight, wait until you hear how much mucus your body produces every single day. Spoiler, it's measured in liters. Mucus. Your body produces up to 1.5 liters of mucus every single day just in your respiratory tract. That's nearly a full bottle of soda. Except instead of carbonated sugar water, it's a warm gel made of water and mucin glycoproteins designed to trap everything you breathe in and drag it toward your stomach to be destroyed. Here's how it works. The inside of your airways is lined with tiny hair-like structures called cilia, and these things beat 10 to 20 times per second in coordinated waves, pushing the entire mucus layer toward your throat at about 1 centimeter per minute. The whole layer gets replaced every 15 to 20 minutes. That means a bacterium that lands in your nose is typically wrapped up, transported, swallowed, and dissolved in stomach acid within half an hour. You don't even notice it happening, and mucus isn't just sticky flypaper. It's loaded with chemical weapons. Lysozyme tears apart bacterial cell walls. Lactoferrin starves bacteria by binding the iron they need to survive. IgA antibodies neutralize pathogens on contact. All of this is happening in the thin layer of snot you wipe on your sleeve without thinking. But here's where it gets real. Cystic fibrosis is caused by a single gene mutation that disrupts the salt and water balance in mucus production. One gene. The result is mucus so thick it can't flow properly, can't be pushed by cilia, and just sits there. Bacteria colonize it. Chronic lung infections set in. For decades, this was a death sentence in childhood. One broken gene in a system you never think about, and the whole defense collapses, which is, not ideal. But if you think trapped bacteria in your airways sounds bad, wait until you hear what happens when trapped bacteria calcify in the back of your throat. Tonsil stones. If you've ever coughed up a small, pale, foul-smelling nugget from the back of your throat and thought, "What in the absolute hell is that?" Congratulations. You've met a tonsil stone, and you are far from alone. About 5 to 10% of the population deals with these things. Tonsil stones are calcified clumps of dead bacteria, dead white blood cells, food debris, and minerals that build up in the deep crypts of your tonsils. Some people have tonsil crypts barely half a millimeter deep. Others have crypts up to 3 centimeters deep, which is basically a tiny cave system in your throat designed to collect the worst things imaginable. But here's where it gets properly revolting. Each individual stone contains hundreds of millions to billions of bacteria. Billions. In something the size of a grain of rice. And these aren't just any bacteria, they're anaerobic species that thrive without oxygen and produce volatile sulfur compounds as metabolic byproducts, specifically hydrogen sulfide and methyl mercaptan, the exact chemicals responsible for the smell of rotten eggs and decomposing meat. So when a tonsil stone dislodges and breaks apart, all those bacterial metabolites release at once, causing a burst of halitosis so intense that people around you will assume something has died nearby, which technically it has, billions of somethings. Now, tonsil stones serve zero survival purpose. They're a failure mode. Your tonsil crypts evolved to trap incoming microorganisms so your immune system could analyze them. Genuinely useful. But occasionally, that trapping mechanism works too well, and instead of clearing the debris, your body just lets it calcify into a tiny sulfur bomb. Better immune surveillance in exchange for occasionally producing something that smells like a war crime. But if you think a calcified bacteria nugget is the grossest thing your body routinely produces, we haven't even talked about what's happening below the belt. Vaginal discharge. Let's talk about something that half the population has been culturally shamed into thinking is a problem when it's actually one of the most sophisticated defense systems in the entire human body. Women produce roughly 1 to 2 teaspoons of vaginal discharge every single day. And before anyone gets squeamish, that fluid is doing more work than most of your organs. It's a mixture of water, glycogen, epithelial cells, white blood cells, and an entire living microbiome dominated by lactobacillus species. These bacteria feed on glycogen produced by vaginal epithelial cells and convert it into lactic acid and bacteriocins, maintaining an acidic pH between 3.8 and 4.5. That's acidic enough to kill most pathogenic bacteria and fungi on contact. It's basically a self-sustaining antimicrobial security system that runs 24 hours a day without any input from you. Here's where it gets even more impressive. The composition of this discharge changes throughout the menstrual cycle. Around ovulation, it becomes clear and stretchy to help facilitate sperm transport. Afterward, it thickens back up, prioritizing immune defense again. Your body is constantly toggling between protect everything and okay, briefly allow reproduction, and it does this automatically every single month. But here's the kicker. Douching, a product that has been marketed to women for decades as a hygiene necessity, actually destroys this entire system. Women who douche regularly have significantly higher rates of bacterial vaginosis, pelvic inflammatory disease, yeast infections, and sexually transmitted infections, including HIV. You are literally washing away the defense mechanism and then wondering why infections show up. It is one of the most counterproductive health practices in modern culture, and the fact that it's still sold on shelves is, not ideal. But if you think a self-cleaning ecosystem is impressive, wait until you see what your body builds out of blood and dead immune cells when you get a cut. Scabs and pus. Pus is one of the most universally hated substances on Earth, and honestly, fair enough. It's a thick, warm slurry of dead neutrophils, dead bacteria, destroyed tissue, and fibrin, all mashed together into a yellowish-green paste that smells like regret. That color comes from an enzyme called myeloperoxidase, the same enzyme your immune cells use to manufacture homemade bleach inside their own bodies to kill invaders. Your white blood cells are literally generating household cleaning products internally and using them as weapons, which is, not ideal for the bacteria. But here's where it gets genuinely amazing. Neutrophils make up roughly 95% of the cells in pus, and when they die fighting bacteria, they don't just quit. They release their DNA outward in sticky webs called neutrophil extracellular traps, or nets. These webs physically ensnare pathogens even after the immune cell is already dead. Your white blood cells are fighting from beyond the grave. They die, explode their own genetic material outward like a last-ditch net, and keep catching bacteria as corpses. That's the most metal thing a cell can do. And then there's the scab sitting on top of all this chaos. That ugly crust you desperately want to pick off is a protective shield made of coagulated blood, platelets, and fibrin. Underneath it, your body is running a full construction site. New blood vessels are forming through angiogenesis. Collagen is being laid down like scaffolding. Epithelial cells are migrating across the wound to rebuild the skin barrier from scratch. Every time you pick a scab, you're ripping the roof off a building mid-construction. Cool. Add that to the list of things you'll feel guilty about. Here's the thing. People with hemophilia cannot form effective scabs. Before factor replacement therapy existed, they historically died from minor wounds because the bleeding simply never stopped. And immunodeficient patients who can't mount a proper pus-forming response, a simple cut can become sepsis. The infection spreads unchecked, enters the bloodstream, and that's it. These are the two most visible, goopy, foul-smelling products your body makes. They look horrible, they smell worse, and nobody wants to deal with them. But without scabs, every scrape bleeds until you're dead. Without pus, every scratch kills you. The grossest things your body produces are the most immediately life-saving. And that's basically the entire point of everything we've talked about today. Not all of your body's processes are pretty. Most of them are genuinely revolting, but every single one is the only reason you're still here to be disgusted by them. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, click the video on the screen now.